Welcome to part 2 of a two-part series entitled Venerated Ancient Greek Philosopher Pythagoras, Vegan, a Mathematician and Mystic. Pythagoras is said to have been heavenly handsome and is well known for the mathematical theorem named after him. Moreover, Pythagoras was a much-loved vegan spiritual master. His teachings are said to have been influential for both Plato and Aristotle, setting a foundation for Western philosophy. In 2011, beloved Supreme Master Ching Hai mentioned that we should learn from the sages of old and new about the ideal lifestyle for humankind.
We can draw from the exemplary lives of the sages who practiced the compassionate way of life. They never kill or harm animals. They live a vegan lifestyle that protects humans, animals, and the environment. They also taught about the power of being virtuous in saving the planet from any threat of harm. For example, we can talk forever. There are so many examples, but I'm just citing a few. Like Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher, said, "For as long as men massacre animals, they will kill each other. Indeed, he who sows the seed of murder and pain cannot reap joy and love."
Did you know that before the word vegetarian was coined in the 19th century, people who abstained from eating the flesh of animal people were known as Pythagoreans? One reason that Pythagoras is somewhat an elusive and mysterious historical figure is that he apparently wrote no accounts of his life and work, nor did any of his contemporaries. This was probably due to the fact that his teachings were of an esoteric or secret nature, and it was likely to have been forbidden to write down any of his teachings. There is, however, a collection of around 70 moral sayings, known as the Golden Verses, that are attributed to Pythagoras, even though it is known he did not write the verses himself. Rather, it is said that after his passing, one of his disciples, Lysis of Taras, recorded the core doctrines of his teacher to share the universal moral principles that were taught by this visionary leader. The first of these states,
"First worship the immortal gods, as they are established and ordained by the law.
Another states,
But abstain thou from the meats which we have forbidden in the purifications and in the deliverance of the soul."
Pythagoras was also influential in the areas of music, philosophy, astronomy, and the knowledge of the sphericity of the Earth. He was first to classify the globe into 5 climatic zones. First, let's look at the influence of Pythagoras in the world of mathematics. Some claim him to be the father of numbers, while others credit him with being known as the first true mathematician. What we do know is that the Pythagorean theorem was named after him. Put simply, the Pythagorean theorem states that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse, or the longest side, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other 2 sides of the triangle. Numbers were enormously important to Pythagoras, and the mystical nature of mathematics was a crucial part of his belief system. He taught that everything could be explained by mathematics, and that the laws of nature were in harmony with pure mathematics. He believed that numbers were sacred, attributing different meanings to different numbers, much like numerology. Even numbers were thought of as female, and odd numbers as male, and each number was said to have its own characteristic. For example, the number 3 represented harmony and wisdom, while the number 1 was interpreted as the origin of all things, and symbolized unity. Numbers were, according to Pythagoras, of deep spiritual significance, and he preached that all is number. Pythagoras and his followers were fascinated by the significance of numbers in the natural world and felt that everything could be explained in the context of mathematics. He saw the universe in terms of being an ordered whole or cosmos, which is a word he said to have created. The word cosmos comes from the root word cosmetic, meaning harmony, order, and beauty. To Pythagoras, the universe was the embodiment of such mathematical harmonics. All ties, according to Pythagoras, can be reduced to number relations. As the vegetarian Greek philosopher Aristotle wrote,
"The Pythagorean, having been brought up in the study of mathematics, thought that things are numbers, and that the whole cosmos is a scale and a number."
Music is another area where Pythagoras has been highly influential. Music itself was an important element used in his teachings. He believed that music was a purification for the soul, stating,
The highest goal of music is to connect one's soul to their divine nature, not entertainment.
Pythagoras was a musician himself and was an accomplished lyre player. The lyre is an ancient Greek instrument similar to a small harp. He and his disciples would sing hymns together to the god Apollo, and Pythagoras taught that sound and harmonic frequencies could be used for healing. Pythagoras is credited with the discovery of the ratios between harmonious musical tones, with whole number ratios giving harmonious sound. On the other hand, non-whole number ratios tend to give a discordant sound. He found that a string exactly half the length of another would sound exactly an octave higher when plucked, and that there were always whole number ratios in the intervals between harmonious musical notes. The melodic observations of this extraordinary mystic have become the primary building blocks of musical harmony. How interesting it is that today, when we tune our musical instruments, we still use the mathematical and musical discoveries made by Pythagoras thousands of years ago. But Pythagoras' interest in sound and vibration did not stop there. He was also interested in the notion of vibration producing sound on a much larger scale, and he is famously thought to have said,
There is geometry in the humming of the strings. There is music in the spacing of the spheres.
Otherwise referred to as the music of the spheres. This notion of the celestial bodies producing an audible harmony through vibration is attributed to Pythagoras, who proclaimed that based on their orbit and distance to each other, the heavenly bodies produced notes of vibration. Believing that both the divine and poetic nature of the universe could be understood mathematically, his understanding of astronomy was also well ahead of his time. Pythagoras taught that the movement of the stars and planets in the universe were operating in synchronicity with mathematical equations. He recognized that the Earth was spherical in shape and that it rotated on its axis. Pythagoras may have been the first to realize that both the morning and evening stars were in fact the same planet, Venus. Pythagorean concepts are commonly seen in theosophical literature. For example, Madame H.P. Blavatsky's first major work, which is a significant document in the theosophical movement, Isis Unveiled, a master key to the mysteries of ancient and modern science and theology. In The Masters and the Path by Charles W. Leadbeater, as well as in The Lives of Alcyone, which he wrote with Dr. Annie Besant, Pythagoras is identified as a prior incarnation of the Mahatma Master Kutumi, who was one of Madame H.P. Blavatsky's instructors and was instrumental in the founding of the Theosophical Society. Pythagoras was a truly inspirational teacher of great breadth and depth. His wise insights continue to influence our lives today in many ways, from mathematics to music to mysticism. According to Madame Blavatsky, Pythagoras was the greatest mathematician, geometer, and astronomer of historical antiquity. and also the highest of the metaphysicians and scholars. We are eternally grateful that such venerable masters as Pythagoras have graced our planet and imparted their wisdom for us all to heed.
Vegan, be a worthy person.
It's been a pleasure to have you, our noble viewers, with us today.